We've had a lot to say, and understandably so, about Adam Bandt deciding not to stand near the Australian flag, yet still being paid in those evil Australian dollars as he sits in that evil Australian parliament, showing solidarity with the Indigenous people, including the Indigenous people in his own party that somehow can't lead the Greens because some woke white guy from Melbourne knows more about Indigenous issues than they do. Okay. Well, interestingly, we've been talking about this all week, yet we haven't heard anything from Albo. What is it about the Prime Minister? Is he not aware of these stories? Do they not get through the filter of Twitter? Was it not mentioned on the ABC breakfast show, so therefore he didn't hear about it? Well, of course, whenever Albo doesn't want to answer something, he normally flies overseas. And considering now that he spends, 3 out of every 7 days overseas, if you asked him about this while he was overseas, he would say this.
Jim Chalmers will respond back. I make it a policy. I said this on my first visit. I intend to stick to it, that I won't be commenting on domestic issues while overseas. Okay, so that's the rule of... So is he overseas? No, he's not overseas, but he's always overseas. No, he was in Australia, and it's taken him how many days to actually come out and speak in support of our national symbol? And I just say to Mr Bandt that he needs to think about the responses that have been made and reconsider his position and work to promote unity and work to promote reconciliation.
But of course, it won't matter. Now, he's not that angry, of course, about Adam Bandt, because remember, without Adam Bandt, they can't pass anything through the parliament. You'll never hear him say anything about the Tiffany Teals because they need one of them to pass anything in the upper house. When it comes to elections, apparently, the party that can't stand in front of the national flag is the number one choice of preferences for the Labor Party because, of course, without those preferences, there are no Labor MPs, no government, no power. Oh, you mean they're not really going to call them out? For their part, Indigenous members of the Australian Parliament have made it very clear, including our mate Jacinta Price here last night.
And yet they're more concerned with shifting a flag about. That tells me they don't care at all for the real circumstances that are going on the ground. What they care about is appearing as though they care for Indigenous Australians, and while at the same time insulting not just Indigenous Australians, but all Australians. I've had veterans commenting on Facebook today saying that they are absolutely disgusted with this behaviour, given that they put their lives on the line and fought for our freedoms as a nation under that flag, which is about uniting us all instead of dividing us all.
And if you don't like her because she's an evil Liberal MP, what about a Labor Indigenous MP? She came out today and said this about the decision not to stand in front of the national symbol that, of course, represents the greatest free nation in the world. We need to do everything we can to bring everyone together rather than divide the country. A bloke who was absolutely a straight shooter on this, a man who served his country, was injured in war. Philip Thompson joins us. And I'm pleased to say the freshly re-elected member for Herbert and now Assistant Shadow Defence Minister will join us live from Townsville in a couple of minutes' time here on Paul Murray Live. Big show ahead.